There are very few moments in my life that I can articulate what I've experienced for 20 years. Most of my life, I was dissociating or zoned out. There are these massive black holes in my memory because my brain won't let me remember. I didn't even remember it at the end of the week sometimes because the new incidents would happen. Whatever those incidents were, it was perpetual. And my brain developed these black holes because there was a lot of borderline criminal things that were going on that I kind of wanted to delete. So to draw from it to tell my story has been damn near impossible. But there was one incident in Jersey City at a railway crossing that flooded my brain with what it was like in a way that I can talk about this right now. The incident gave me all the secondhand feelings that at one point in my life, I experienced it all firsthand. I was 27 years old living in Jersey City, going home from my grocery shopping. My husband and I, and 10 other people, stopped at a railway crossing because the light turned red and the bell started ringing. Also, the track started vibrating from the incoming train. In front of us was a boy of about 11 and his father. For some reason, the dad decided that he's going to cross these tracks. The train was 5 to 7 meters away, not at any maglev speed or anything, but heavy enough to off you nonetheless. The dad goes halfway to the tracks, and his son was frozen because it was a red signal, and also this was the dumbest, most dangerous thing to do. So he didn't budge from behind the crossing. So the dad, in the nick of time, realized that his son is not crossing with him and went back to the crossing and let the train pass. Now, this moment is crucial, and your blood is going to boil like mine did. Because instead of thanking the son for his presence of mind, the dad started telling off and scolding the kid. Actually, scold is a light word. In the middle of the street with like 10 people around them, saying why the son didn't cross with him and how stupid was he and now they lost 5 seconds and why did he have to stop and all that. Okay? It was literally a red signal with ringing bells and a train 5 to 10 meter beside you. Your son probably saved your life. And this is how you act. The amount of memories it brought up for me and the way my blood pressure must have risen astronomically that day, I cannot describe. The dad kept telling off his kid about how stupid he was the whole time for a full block until they turned and I had to go straight. When someone in a position of power or authority that is responsible for you does that to you, especially when you were 100% right, it is a surefire way to ensure his kid will have the worst self confidence and one of the most traumatic childhoods. The kid was right. I hope he knows he was right. But getting told off for a good thing because his dad's ego was bruised and he couldn't take it is so damaging to someone who's just trying to do the right thing and the good thing. And kids are hardwired to love their parents and to look up to them like they have all the answers. So here's kid is probably thinking, oh my God, my dad works hard and he works till late night and he's in all these meetings and he provides food for our family. So he must be right, which means I must be stupid. But then again, but it was a red signal. I'm not supposed to. But then dad says so. So I must be stupid. Because at the same time, there is truth to following the rules of a red signal and a stop sign. So that state of perpetual confusion it creates. There is no way to describe it, but this is my feeble attempt at it. And from the back of that man's head, I could tell from his voice that this is a daily occurrence and he doesn't deserve to have a child because he doesn't know how to treat a human being properly with basic dignity and kindness. That concept doesn't exist for people like him. And the damage it does to kids like that and me is that it chips away at your confidence and sense of self very slowly but surely till that sense of self is obliterated. There is no other word for it. And before you know it, you're a 25-year-old adult who can barely do basic things and have basic conversation and interactions with people because you believe you are always wrong and you won't ever do the right thing because we don't trust ourselves and our own instinct. It's so funny to me how parents love to say that you should trust yourself and your gut when they did every single thing in their power at least 3 times a day to ensure you wouldn't have a sense of self and therefore no gut feeling. Because that is how you can control someone and make them submissive. And the children who grew up like that and knew these unnecessary incidents, let's call it incidents for now, have no idea how to make it in life in their adulthood because they now have to start learning the basics from scratch. Basics that other kids and their loving parents ensured they would get from day one. So they were well equipped and you're left behind. And it's so infinitely hard to get past it in your adulthood because adulthood is complicated and everything overlaps. And to ensure you grow up kind and caring, honestly, at this point, I want to open a foster care for kids like that who want to file for emancipation from their parents because you know what? I see you. And I will help you or build you up whatever I can. Actually, that is why I always build people up. And I always compliment them. Sometimes in excruciating detail, probably come on too strong at times. But I know what it would have meant for me, for even one person to say something to me that was specific enough to make me feel seen. And no one did. What made me seen was, I know this is weird, but Pinterest and Tumblr quotes in my early 20s. Because they get what it means to us to have someone tell us that you're not wrong to do the right thing. They know what it takes to slowly unlearn the way our heart rate goes up when a door opens too soon or when you hear the footsteps. This is what my entire childhood was like every single day, multiple times a day. All I want is one simple thing, for example, to go get a glass of water. And I haven't done anything yet. I'm just walking to get that glass of water, but that doesn't matter. There are, by the way, no blind spots in my vision. I am always on high alert all the time, ever since I was a kid. I know if there is a silent fly behind me. That's how hypervigilant I was. Or rather, I had to be. But that psychological anticipation of, oh no, it's gonna happen. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen. And right now I'm pouring the water into my glass, but I'm not gonna spill it, right? I'm being careful. But it doesn't matter that I'm being careful because I'm gonna get that incident happen to me anyway. And therefore, that incident is gonna cause the water to spill, which will be yet another reason for more things to happen to me. And just on and on and on, and the cycle never ended. That day, I wish I could have made eye contact with that boy and told him, your father is wrong, and you were right, and you probably saved his life. But I didn't dare do anything because I know what happens when an abuser gets triggered or catches someone trying to help the situation. I cannot imagine what that boy must have gone through at home. But he had the good sense to put his head down and not say a word. I'm pretty sure he figured out early on that if he said a word, it would mean more terrible things for him. I think this video is me making eye contact with him. Maybe if this video was viral, then with the money I can make, I can adopt all these kids from the entire world and tell them that they are finally safe. And they don't need to recognize anyone through their footsteps. My God, this was a hard one to make. But I can't have these thoughts and this little story swirling around in my head. It won't do me any good. So here I am, speaking this into a mic to maybe make eye contact with that boy and several hundreds like him. If you feel seen or heard in any way, well, I am so sorry for that because why? But hold on. I want to tell you that I waited 22 years to get out of my situation. I had to hold on, but things got infinitely better. The way I thought they would, actually better than what I thought they would when I moved out. And I want to tell you today to hold on. It takes time for people like us. But one day you can and will escape, and life gets better. And it can take you 10 years to plan your escape route. Take as much time as you need. It could be a year, it could be 10 years planning your escape. But life does get better. In fact, it only gets better after this because literally the simplest things will make you happy. You will see the blue sky and you will see a snail or something. You'll be like, oh my God, the leaves are swaying in the wind and the flowers are so beautiful. And you'll be like, wow, life is so beautiful. Oh my God. And most people don't know the importance of that, but you will. It 100% gets better. So just hold on. So, yeah, this was a hard one for me to make. One episode after this one is done, I'm probably going to switch to a video format for my essays because I had to write this one down and I had to edit it a few times and then I read it out. But that's not always the most efficient way to go about podcasting or telling stories because stories are fresh when they come right to you. And it's such a great idea to record them in the moment. And also, YouTube is a platform where video essays have a better chance of discoverability, right? So why am I not doing that? Well, that's a different story altogether, but I think we can summarize it by saying that I started my podcast. I thought that every single episode should be a 10 out of 10. Oh my God. And then I wrote down these episodes or like these topics. And then I wrote essays for these topics, some of them supported with some research. You can imagine that that takes a lot of time. And if I want to reach more people, it is about volume as much as it is about quality. For me to have that much volume, I have to reduce the 10 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, which will come with me talking into a camera as a stream of consciousness kind of thing. So, one episode after this, I have another story I want to tell about this guy I met at a restaurant. And after that, I'm probably just going to talk into the mic, stream of consciousness, and we'll see where my thoughts go from there. It'll probably be around one specific topic, but I do tend to ramble on at times. You know what? That's fine. This is my channel, okay? I will post what I want. So, yeah, thanks for listening and see you next time. Bye now.